Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Nathalie Sage, and I am a holistic healer, coach, and mystic. Today, I am here to talk about the ways that we run away from or try to escape our shadow. This is something that we are all doing. It's not easy to be a human being. There are so many impulses, feelings, behaviors, thoughts that are kind of disturbing, and it's just a part of the human nature to have all these different types of inner experiences and sensations. Things like jealousy, rage, anger, grief, sadness, and as a Western culture, we're not very good at knowing how to actually channel the inner experience, the inner feelings, and the inner sensations in a healthy way. And this is where shadow work comes in. Because when we do shadow work, we find a way and a space to actually channel the energies that exist within us, within every single human being. It's just that it's kind of taboo and wrong and not really accepted in like everyday culture to accept these qualities as a part of ourselves. So today I'm talking about how we try to avoid facing our shadow. But first I want to talk about why the ego actually have these strategies. The first very obvious reason is that as a person, we do not want to associate any bad behavior with ourselves, because culturally we take this as sort of a story about who we really are. And we tell ourselves, if I feel anger, then I must be an angry person. If I feel rage, then I must be a person that is out of control. If I step beyond what is known and I get lost there, then I will be known as someone who's lost it. And so we tell all these stories about all these different emotions within ourselves, when the reality is that each emotion is not who you are. It's like energy in motion. That's where emotion comes from. It's energy in motion. It's literally just energy moving through you. It's like an biological, physiological impulse that happens through your body, and it lasts, I think scientists say, for about 90 seconds. But because we take these inner emotions so personally, then we're afraid of acknowledging them as an inner experience, because we believe that if I acknowledge that I have this envy, or if I'm jealous, or if I feel disconnected or lonely or abandoned or rejected or greedy or selfish, then that must mean that that is who I am. And that is simply not true. So when we start working with the shadow, we're going to realize that the feelings that we're having are separated from who we really are. And this is where, the spiritual philosophy comes in, to understand that I am not what I am experiencing within myself. I am the witness having the experience, sort of like when you're watching a movie on the screen. Even though you're feeling the feelings that is coming up with the movie, maybe you're crying because someone died, or maybe you're feeling angry because there was injustice somewhere, but you know that that's just a movie. That's not reality. It's just you're witnessing a scene from a story. And so we have the inner story, which is the web that is woven with the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors and actions that each individual takes. And so there's a witness behind that. And the witness is the one that is observing the actual inner experience. And I love this metaphor of your mind literally being the sky, and each emotion and thought that's passing by is like a cloud. And it will stay there for a little bit, and you can look at it and you can tell a story about it, and you can take a photo and say, oh, it's so beautiful, or you can run inside because it's raining and it's stormy and you need shelter, whatever it is. But to know that ultimately this is not who you are. It's just a floating experience that you are having in that particular moment. So the first reason that we don't want to face a shadow is because there's a risk that we start to tell the story that we are that shadow, we are that feeling, we are that emotion. And then the story that comes with me being, what if I am a selfish person? What does that mean? It means that I'm going to be rejected. It means that I'm going to be alone. And so the rejection wound and the abandonment wound will be triggered, will be activated, and that will be enough for our ego to just go, you know what? Piss off. you are not allowed to pass over this threshold from your conscious into the unconscious, because if what you discover in the unconscious is going to mean that you are going to be rejected or that you're going to be in danger somehow, then I cannot allow that. And so we have this inner system, this inner security system, which is the ego. The ego is here to protect us. The ego is not a bad thing, but the ego is here to protect us. And in order to get to the unconscious, in order to get to the shadow, and this is why I stress compassion and self-empathy so much, because we need to walk there with an open heart, and we need to say, hey, I'm not here to further judge you. I'm not here to make you feel like you do not belong. I am here to make peace with you. I am here to find a way that we can work together and be friends. You don't have to be alone anymore where you are in the unconscious, wherever you're hiding. You can come and be a part of my personality, of the ego, of the persona. And another reason why we don't want to face the shadow is, of course, we are often very afraid of the emotional intensity that comes after. If we were not born into a family where feeling your emotions or expressing your emotions was normal or was accepted or encouraged, and maybe even if we're born into a family where expressing your emotions meant that you were expressing them in an out of control way, that when emotions were expressed in your family, it was done through violence or it was done through aggression, it was done in a very unsafe way, then you might go to your shadow and you might go, you know what, I don't want to feel any of that stuff, because the story that you're telling yourself is that if I feel those things, then I'm going to go and behave in the same way that the adults were behaving when I was a small child, and that felt very unsafe for me. And that's not how I want to behave. I don't want to make anyone feel unsafe. I don't want to feel unsafe. I don't want to be that person. So I can't own these parts of myself, because if I own them, then that means that I am also that person. Those are the two main reasons why we avoid facing our shadow. Number one, because we tell ourselves that this is who I am. If I accept these parts of myself, that must be who I am. And number two, it's because we're afraid of the emotional intensity that comes from experiencing parts of our shadow. Because we are not equipped and we haven't been encouraged to express and channel these emotions in a healthy way in the past. Now, let's get into the strategies that the ego actually uses in order to avoid facing the shadow. Number one is projection. Now, this is the most common one, and this is a very, very clever way for the ego to avoid having to own and having to face the things that it feels a little bit uncomfortable with facing. And projection basically means that whatever I do not feel okay about being, I will see that within another person, and I will call them out, being in a way completely blind to the fact that I also have the same quality. Let's say you were born into a family where you had to be silent, like silence was the thing, like don't be loud, kids needs to be quiet, little girls are quiet, sit nicely, that kind of thing. Which means that then in adulthood, you start to suppress your inner voice. And you do not want to take up space because you were taught as a child that it's not okay for you to take up space. It's not okay for you to be loud. And then you meet someone, let's say you're at a workshop, or let's say you are at a meeting, or you're at a cafe, and there is someone who's just being so incredibly loud, like it starts to creep in your bones. You're like, how can this person, like how can they not just shut the fuck up, you know? Like, why can they not be quiet? Like, why are they so loud? And you may start, to bring in all these judgments about this person, like they're being rude, they're being disrespectful, they don't care about other people, they're self-centered, they just talk about themselves, when in reality, it's actually a part of you that is longing to come into expression. There's actually that little girl that was silenced when you were, I don't know, a child, like 4 or 5 years old, let's say, that is being mirrored within this other person, and it's like this impulse saying, I want to be that, but you're not letting me. So I'm just going to project all that onto this other person and make up a story about all the ways that it's not okay to be that loud. So projecting our shadow is one of the most common ways that we avoid facing our shadow. We basically make someone else wear the weight of our darkness, wear the weight of our unconscious desires. And we And we neglect the fact that somewhere inside of us there's also very same aspects, the very same qualities that are actually wanting to be known, wanting to be expressed. The second most common way that we avoid facing our shadow is through escapism. And we can escape in so many different ways, and in today's society it really is not that hard. We can escape through social media, we can escape through living in a sort of imagination, like fantasy, reality. We can daydream a lot. I know this is something that I did as a child a lot. Like I would daydream a lot because the reality when I grew up it was full of drama, and it was full of aggression, and it was full of just pain, really. And as a child, my only way to escape that was to create this fantasy land. And I can thank that today for my really good imagination, which I love. But at the same time, that was absolutely a survival strategy for me. Escapism can also come through, being addicted to romantic relationships, being addicted to drama, cleaning, always organizing, always being busy. Basically, escapism is like you go somewhere else, either physically or emotionally or mentally. You do not want to stay with that very thing that is alive, so you turn your back, you turn your gaze away, and you look somewhere else. Now, this is where like Bob Marley and that song, you're running and you're running and you're running away, but you can't run away from yourself. Okay, I'm not a great singer, but like that, you keep running, but you're running from yourself. And so eventually you're going to have to turn around and face that thing that is wanting to look at you. And when it comes to escapism, as soon as that wall of the ego is down, as soon as that mask becomes a little bit wobbly, either under the influence of stress or under the influence of alcohol or other recreational drugs, the shadow is very good at showing up for people when they are under the influence. So when that mask becomes a little bit wobbly and it sort of starts to slip, and we are, like I said, under the influence of either stress, alcohol, or drugs, then very often what is underneath and what is trying to catch us is going to show up, whether that is intense sexual desire, intense anger or rage or sadness, grief maybe, or that attention-seeking behavior, like when the ego's defenses are severed in some way and they're not as activated, they're not as strong, then you bet that shadow will come in and it will show you exactly what you are running away from. And the third way that we run away from a shadow or avoid facing our shadow is through numbing. Numbing is very closely related to escapism, but the feeling is a little bit different. Like numbing is very often a state of depression. It's a state of not actually feeling anything. So we can't really feel the downs of life and our emotional world, but we also cannot really feel the pleasure and the good things about life. So we kind of stand somewhere, we get stuck somewhere in the middle. Whereas escapism, it's like you can go and you can have fun and you can laugh and you can go partying and go to festivals, go gambling, and it's like you can be full of these really good, happy emotions. And this is where spiritual bypassing comes in. A lot of people escape into the love and light, escape into the good vibes, escape into like positivism and motivation and inspiration. But it's like underneath all of that, the golden glitter, there's this turd, like this shit. And that is the shadow, like that is the aspects of ourselves that we don't want to look at. But we are so good at just like, putting glitter on them or just coloring them in some, beautiful love and light language, so we don't have to look at it. Back to numbing. When you're in this numbing state, you actually don't feel anything. It's like you just on some sort of pause button. You might feel like life is like you're stuck. You don't really feel a connection to your intuition. You don't really feel a connection to life. You don't really feel a connection to yourself. It's almost like something has turned off, or the volume has just been, it's down to very, very, very low. If we do start to feel either one of these, like either the pleasure or the pain, then we will start to either overeat, or we might put on Netflix and just watch a lot of series because, again, we don't want to feel, we just want to turn off. Another way of numbing could actually be going up into our heads and analyzing, intellectualizing everything as a way of avoiding having to feel anything, because numbing really is all about not wanting to feel that emotional intensity that I was talking about at the very start. Now, I also want to say that numbing can be something, it could be a strategy in order to avoid facing really deep-seated trauma. So this is not something that I bring a lot of compassion into this when I say it, because usually if we get all the way to the stage of numbing, then it means that there is some really, really deep-seated pain that we avoid facing. That's something that you probably need a really good therapist or a good psychologist or someone that's a trained professional to talk to them about that, to try to understand what sort of pain is hiding underneath your feeling of numbness. With all of this, with projection, with escapism, with numbing, I want you all to know that there is no pressure, there is no time limit. It's not like you have to deal with these things right now. You deal with them when you are ready. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. But do know that they are not going to go anywhere. So you can deal with them now, or you can deal with them in a year, or you can deal with them in 10 years. It's fine. It's up to you. You choose your own timeline when it comes to this. But just know that the moment that you choose to start going on that healing journey, that is the way for your liberation. That is the way, the path to wholeness. That is the way for you to actually come home to yourself and feel good about who you are. Come back to self-worth. Come back to knowing that you matter, and coming back to knowing that you have a very beautiful and very important purpose on this earth. As we dive deeper into the pain of our past and we heal the pain, that from that healing journey, we bring something back to the world that is of importance. And so when the time is ready and when you are ready, then I encourage you to take that step on that healing journey and start doing the work. And when it comes to shadow work, and if you do want to learn how to stop using these strategies, or at least call yourself out when you do use these strategies, one question that I would ask myself every time that I am either projecting, like I'm saying something about someone else, or I'm judging someone else, or I realize that, like I'm feeling a little bit emotional, and so I turn to my phone and I start scrolling, or I reach for the chocolate in the cupboards and I start eating. It's just to take a moment and ask yourself, what is it right now that I don't want to feel? What is it that I don't want to feel? And also, what story do I tell about a person that would feel this way? I'm sending you so much love, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. It helps me a lot. And also you can find me on other social media channels such as Instagram. I am sending you so much love, and I hope you have a absolutely beautiful day, and that you feel it with all the things that matters to you. Bye.